Alright, hello Guardians, and today I'm going to show you about how not suck at Spiral Knights. This is a really fun game by 3 Rings, the guys who do Sega. This is a free MMORPG. It's pretty much different from what it used to be if you're a veteran player. They've added a lot of new stuff. I'm going to show you about how to survive as a gunner and not to totally suck balls. Because a lot of people, I've been in many groups, and a lot of newbies and little kids always complaining, "Oh, how are you so good, blah blah blah, I keep dying too much, your gear and your weapons are so much better than mine." Yes, the weapons may be better than what you currently got, but the armor is pretty much a moot point if you learn how to dodge! Dodging is crucial, and I shall show you. I will start off with one of the earlier missions. Very far back. I've pretty much done every single mission there is, so let's do the ancient generator if I can. No, okay, so there are a few missions you can't do again after you've beaten them. Every other one afterwards pretty much is repeatable. Pumping up. Alright. No. Let's do after the pets. You do get pets. Let's do the collector. You get 3 different pets. You could get 4, but the 4th one is just a cosmetic cat thing. It just turns your white cat into a black cat with freaky devil eyes. Kind of cool looking, but hard as balls to get. Alright, so this is what's called the ready room. And you got Basil, the merchant here. He'll sell you some pretty interesting stuff once in a while. Over here you've got battle sprites. I've got 2 of them. I've got Phosphorus, my little Drakon. He's pretty much completely maxed out. You can get your pets to level 100, but you can actually get them to level 105. Once you get to 100, it never shows they can go above that, so you can effectively max out your pet completely. So don't worry about that. And I've been starting a new one called Cadaver. He's my little ghost guy, my little masker wraith. I've got plenty of swords, plenty of handguns, and a lot of these I will show you. I've been working on collecting every single one. A lot of these I'll show you that you don't exactly need the best weapon in the game, because there isn't. You have to specialize your weapons. Each one of them has their own unique element that they deal more damage with, and they each have their own different firing mechanisms. So the Argent Peacemaker, being a 5-star Antigua full upgrade, does 6 shots in rapid succession, but doesn't deal as much damage as a Polaris, which deals 3 shots. But they both deal elemental and critical hit anything that's weak against elemental, whereas anything not elemental would not critically hit anything weak against elemental. Basic stuff. So know which guns you want to have equipped and bring with you. I got my cryo driver here. It freezes enemies in place and only does 2 shots. It's a piece of crap. I do not recommend any of the driver guns, because the best thing you can do with them is the charge shot, and their bullets ricochet off the walls. So if only use them if you really know how to aim your ricochet bullets. Otherwise, they're just kind of crap. But I'd go for the Catalyzer series, the Antigua line, and the Polaris line. And of course, any armor that gives you as many perks as you can get would be nice too. But since we're going into a mechanical area, having elemental gear will be your best bet. Survival. Survival! Onto the battlefield! Alrighty. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about these little things right here. These are mineral deposits, and if you ever see a mineral deposit like this, blow them shits up. Because you'll get sometimes this little dinky thing, sometimes you'll get this giant one, a large luminite, And these other ones here, the greens and the blues, they're pretty much useless because no pets can use them. These minerals are used to create pet food, and the only ones that of the colors that you can use are red, yellow, and purple. The red are used for your Dracons to make pet food for him. Your purples are used for the Masquerades to make pet food for them, and the yellows are made for the cats. And the green and blues are useless, completely useless. They have no purpose. So if you're solo, grab the one that matches your pet color so that you can actually give your pet food and level him up. If you're in a group and you don't need any more for your current pet, or your color doesn't spawn, but if the purple and yellow spawn, grab one of them because it is shared throughout the party. So don't ignore these. Grab whatever color drops the biggest one, and you'll be good to go. Now, over here are the retropods, or whatever the heck they're called. Retrobots. I'm dealing 42 damage, and 33 if I'm using close range shots. Now the purpose of a gun is to keep your distance. The purpose of your shield is to block attacks and to slow down your movement so you can use precise movement to get yourself around traps, and so you can shield bump. I'm going to show you a very important trick here. Shield bumping. Oh, and treasure boxes. They are your best friend. Every time you find them, blow them up. They give you loot. Stay away from splody boxes like that. They hurt. Do not hug the enemy in the face. They will bite you. Like that. Knowing how to read your enemy's movements exactly is also a great tip. Because that little red spiky thing that shoots out of his face is the action just before he takes an attack. So if you can move out the way just after he makes that little red mark, you'll be perfectly fine. And if you're touching them and you use your shield will push them away from you. This is very good to put distance between you and the enemy, so you can shoot them dead. See? One shot. Now, when you have multiples, you might not be able to make heads or tails of what's going next, but keeping your distance is a good thing. Don't hug your enemies. You're not a swordie. You're a gunner. So you want to keep your distance and fire at a range, and they'll never hit you. A lot of people do not seem to understand that. So let's take you through the rest of this run. And that right there is a party button. If you are in a party, you have to wait for everyone to stand on that button before you can proceed. Now, for the Polaris line, which is the gun I'm using right now, I'm using the, I'm using Polaris. It's the Pulsar line, I'm sorry. For the Polaris, made from the Pulsar upgrades, you deal the most damage when you have more distance between you and the enemy. Because when you fire off the beginning, your bullet starts small. But the further your bullets travel, the bigger it gets. And when it's big bullet, or an expanded shot, it will deal more damage. Now that's what you want to do, is you want to keep your distance and fling them against the wall. Put them in a corner. No one puts Larck in a corner. I put you in the corner. In Soviet Russia, Larck corners you. Anyway. Gremlins are not weak against elemental, so it takes a few more shots. But I have my Black Hawk, and the Black Hawk deals shadow damage. Gremlins are very weak against shadow damage. Every time you want to know if you're dealing critical hits, your damage numbers will be orange, whereas a normal damage, which deals less, but always hits and always deals like base damage, will be white, like so. I'm doing only 19 with the Black Hawk. Open that up. Get my little bubble launcher. Alright. And if I use my Black Hawk against machines, I deal normal damage if I can hit the guy. 14 damage, whereas my Polaris 42. So knowing what weapons to bring will save your butt, because the fewer shots you have to make, the better you'll survive. Let's see, where's the other button? Over there? No. What? Button? Button? Button. Button. I like the button. You can also check the map. You never want to go right out the end of the level unless you've checked every little nook and cranny. Always double check your map. It's a good thing to do. Treasure boxes are your best friend. Hug that box. Hug it. Talk to it. Tell it you love it. They are your friend. It is your companion. 50 crowns. Now, if you know how to keep yourself away from the enemy, keeping distance is very important. But if you can keep yourself away from the enemies long enough and against a wall or a corner and keep them from moving and just firing away, they'll never hit you. You'll never lose health. You'll never die. Which is the best part about being a gunner. You never have to get close to your enemy. Unless, of course, you have to plow through them and make a path to get from one side of the map to the other so that you have more space between you and the enemy. That's the only exception. As for everything else, pretty much, you can always shield bump them away, just like so. You can shield bump once every second, I believe. Or once every 2 or 3 seconds. So just having your shield up and ready like this, that blue bar will go down no matter what level you are. And I have a max level Owlite shield, which is a 5-star shield. So it does regenerate over time, but these guys are generally slow. This is only tier 1. So this is easy. It's like stealing candy from a baby easy. But regardless of this being retarded easy, you can still die from stupid things. Very, very stupid things. Like standing in front of explosions. Or standing in a trap. Ah, purple. Since I've got my Drakon here maxed out and he uses the red minerals, I'm now leveling my Master Wraith who uses the purple. So I never have to grab a red mineral ever again, unless I'm in a party and only the red ones pop up. And these guys you don't ever want to touch, because when they have their little electroshock therapy thing going right there, if you touch him, you'll get electrocuted. Then you've got that damage over time debuff. That's never good, because that leaves you vulnerable. A tip for playing with guns. You never want to use all 3 shots at once for a gun that shoots 3 shots, because you spend time reloading, which makes you vulnerable. And while you're reloading, you are unable to use your shield in time. So don't use the full clip. Instead, shoot once or twice. I find that in doing missions, shooting twice in rapid succession is best, because you hit the enemies harder and faster. But in PvP, during lockdown or whatever else have you, I would imagine you'd be best off shooting one, 1, 1, because you don't give them time to react and have space between your bullets. So that would really tick off some players, and you'll catch them off guard. Catch them in a corner. Put them in a corner. They deserve to be in a corner. Another handy thing to have when you're a gunner is bombs. The most handy of all bombs for a gunner is the Shiver Mist bomb, which is made from the Frost bomb. It's the only one that, I believe it's the only one, that has the freeze ability. And the more you upgrade it, the bigger the distance that it affects. So, if you can freeze your enemies in place, you never have to worry about dodging them all the time. So, it's pretty easy dodging things. Everyone else normally tends to have problems with carrying swords, guns, and bombs if they can help it. For when an enemy like that, what just happened there, when they charge at you and you don't think you have time to run away, shield bump comes in very handy to just push them away. You never want to just hold your shield and let them hit you. If you let them hit your shield, you're giving them a reason to take away your only defense. Shield bumping will keep your shield alive, so you don't have to be hit. So keep that in mind. Never let yourself be hit. If you can avoid it, dodge.
But I think I'm finally getting the hang of it.
Dodge!
Let's
when an enemy explodes or is dying, it deals no damage to you if you stand in their little animation of explosions. None whatsoever. This little guy here is called a gun puppy. And tier 1, he'll shoot 1 bullet. On tier 2, he'll shoot 3 bullets. And on tier 3, he'll shoot a rapid succession of bullets in a row. And they're all still very easy to dodge. It's the missile puppies and the fire-bending puppies that you really gotta watch out for. They're a pain in the ass. Because the missile launching puppies will, on tier 1, well, tier 1 and 2, I believe, they're just, or no, tier 1 is just a regular single direction missile. Tier 2, it becomes a heat-seeking missile. On tier 3, it becomes a faster heat-seeking missile. And for the flame-throwing puppies, or the firebenders, they give tier 1, I think it's just a straight line. Tier 2, I believe it is a curved line. And tier 3, it's a random between those two, so you never really know which direction he's going to fire. And I think they're a bit longer. And these guys are lumbers. They're pretty easy. You never want to get hit by that, because it will stun you. If you are stunned, your movement is slowed. And when you are slow, you are easier to hit. Much easier to hit. So, avoid reloading or anything that will make you slow. You want your speed to stay at maximum. Gunner's priority is staying alive. Now you're all just gonna probably say, oh, you never got hit because this was a really low level dungeon. It was like early stuff and you're in end game stuff, end game gear and weapons. Not entirely. My gear has nothing to do with my speed and defense if I never get hit to begin with. Now this part's gonna be fun. You have 2 spike traps here. They're completely harmless when turned off, but they will start to flash before they start sending their spikes up your ass. And about each trap lasts generally 5 seconds before they go down. And I think it's exactly 5 seconds, because after the 5 seconds are up, they have an animation where they deactivate. During the deactivation animation, they do nothing to you. You can walk through fire and it won't hurt you. You can walk through the spikes and it won't hurt you. You can walk through the poison and it won't hurt you. It's just an animation. But anywhere between 1 and 5 seconds, yeah, it'll hit you. Ooh, this guy's normal damage. How about this? Uh-huh. He's dropping explosives. So he is weak against elemental. Just... wow, okay. It's been a while since I've fought against this guy, but he's a nuisance. Sometimes it is kind of hard just to make sure that you don't have your weapons go off and reload. I think I just blew him up. Yes, I blowed him up early. Normally when you start this mission you only have a normal damage gun, your little blaster. That gun was the first gun I maximized completely, so it will serve you well to the end. Normal damage is always better than having only one elemental weapon or one shadow weapon in your entire inventory, so having normal can be better than having specialized if you don't have the special weapon optimized for the weapon you are currently going for. Or the mission you are currently going for, sorry. Having enough heat collected through the missions will give your weapons their quote-unquote experience points. Once your heat bar goes all the way up, you can level it up with your fire crystals you've collected from your treasure boxes, and they're only from the treasure boxes or from the supply depot, or you can find them from people selling them at the auction house. Now I'm going to show you the King of Ashes. This one tends to be a bit of a longer one, but it's very important to dodge. In this one, there's plenty of traps, plenty of fire, and plenty of death. You will need 2 specific weapons. 2 very specific weapons. You will need a piercing gun. I like to keep the Black Hawk with me for the slimes that show up. I keep my Polaris for all the undead. They are very weak against elemental. Elemental is basically holy damage. If you don't have any elemental based weapons, you can always go for your blaster. That deals just as much damage as any other non-specialized weapon for your choices. But as early on as you can, always try to find a weapon that can suit your needs for the enemies you are fighting. For undead versus for undead and mechanical, you want to use elemental. For slimes and gremlins, you want to use shadow. For beasts and fiends, you want to use piercing damage. And I think there's only like 1 or 2 enemies in the entire game that are immune to everything but normal damage. Spike Wheels of Doom right off the bat. This is the perfect chance for you to use the shield to fine-tune your movements so you're not just running into everything. It also helps when you don't hit the traps. They do hurt. Alright. There is such a thing as friendly fire in this game as well. After this video, I will be doing another one showing in depth each creature's attack patterns and how to dodge them. And if you can learn and recognize each creature's attack pattern, you can bait them to attack you, and while they're missing you completely like idiots, you can then shoot them in the butt. There's no other place to shoot them better than the butt. Especially with Trojans. And you'll see that guy up here soon enough. Trojans are horse guys. Horse-like people. And they have a big-ass shield and a big-ass sword. Don't forget to blow up anything like these torches here. They sometimes carry little goodies in them. Sometimes a heart, which can be very, very much needed. Especially when you're low on health. And they sometimes carry crowns, which is the currency in the game. These Grim Totems have this big purple line all around them. Never let the undead die within that purple ring. These Grim Totems will have this purple aura that revives anything dead within it, even when you're carrying it. So, always, always, always push them away from the aura of reviving. Unless, of course, the trap does it for whatever reason. Then they're just kind of inevitable. But I generally tend to stand within them. If I have any kind of weapon like the Polaris here to push them away with crowd control before they die, I just push them up and away and kill them at a distance. Very, very easy stuff. Now the slags here, these undead guys, have normally 4 different attacks. One is their swing, another is their breath attack, which deals no damage to your shield. Another is a lunge attack. Let's see if I can get this guy to lunge at me. Yep, they both lunged at me. And their 4th attack is sometimes shortly after they've lunged at you, or when you're hugging their face. They will grapple onto you, and they will bite your face off. And the only way to get them off of you is to attack. If you shield, they will not come off. And they'll just keep biting you. So you have to attack in any direction to get them to come off of you. And hopefully you'll have gotten them off of you before they set you on fire. Because these slags are fire slags, and they will put you on fire pretty quickly. Take you, put you there, take you, grab you, and then I'm gonna push you right now. Boom! I love it when the slags get squashedified underneath all these rolling wheels of doom. You can push them right into it too. Like so. Squash. Right there is a health capsule, or a Vita kit. These are very useful. They don't count as taking damage because they add on to your max health by the number that is on it. But it does when you are already low, like through half your health or pretty much low health, your screen will flash red if you pick up a Vita kit that's bigger than what you already got, because your percentage rate will change. That switch. That switch. And that switch. Blow that up. Blow that up. Now up here is a perfect place to use the Shiver Mist Buster and freeze everything in place and let the Wheels of Doom do their thing. This is where things get kind of hectic, because once they group bang you, or gang bang in your face, kind of sucks. Now, these Oilers is what these slime balls are called. These Oilers will set things on fire if they're on fire, but if you use a frost weapon, you can put them out. Fire will heal them. And then use shadow damage to finish them off. And then go back down to collect your loot. And maybe I'll do some more videos running through all of the Firestorm Citadel. But I'm only going to show just this first floor. Because the purpose of this video is teaching you how to dodge! It is the most important thing of a gunner's playstyle. If you use a game controller, do not do it. It sucks balls. If you use a Xbox 360 paddle or a PS3 paddle, you're not going to get very far because you don't have the cursor telling you where you're aiming. And without a cursor telling you where you're aiming, you can't exactly accurately hit your targets. And if you can't accurately hit your targets, you're only going to get hit. And expect lag to be a big factor in your survival as well. This game is run on Java, and you can and will experience quite a bit of lag. These are the firebenders I've warned you about. You don't know when or how their fire is going to bend, in which direction. It's a pain in the balls. But having the Polaris in an undead group like this is perfect for keeping them under control. I used to go at it with just the Argent Peacemaker, which is just like my Blackhawk, only dealing elemental damage instead of shadow. And it wouldn't push them back. So I had to shield bump every single time. And that became quite hectic after you get pushed into a corner. So having the Polaris to push them back for you is very useful. Now those two guys following me are the Trojans. Pain in my ass. You have to use a piercing weapon because these guys are considered fiend types. I'm going to bait them over this way. You never want to stop in front of these guys because when you do, that happens. One charge shot finishes them off with a level 10 strike needle. Predicting where they're gonna go is very, very useful. So, main points of being a gunner. Predict your enemy's movements. Stay away from your enemy's movements. Far, far away. And they will never touch you. And if you find yourself in an unavoidable situation where you are stuck in a corner, get the hell out of the corner. Corners spell death. And death is no good for people like you. You don't want to die. You want to live. You want to live! Unlike this guy. He died. Because he sucked. He didn't know how to dodge.
Wow, I finally learned how to survive all by myself, live on my own, and surviving off the fat of the land. Mr. Piccolo will be so proud.
Now, as for a party, every mission you do with a party increases the max health of every enemy you face. So it's much easier to solo anything and everything in this game. Because when you have the minimal amount of health per enemy, you can easily keep everything under your complete control. So, I hope somehow this has helped you, and I will see you on the battlefield, Guardians.
Hello Guardians. If you like my videos, please click that like and subscribe button down below. And the clips I've used in this video were used from Team 4 Star's DBZ Abridged. They're awesome, go check them out. Also, go watch my partner Guardian Icarus, who's been doing a lot of cool stuff, like streaming on Twitch.tv. He's been doing more streaming than he has been uploading videos, but go watch him, fave him, do stuff. I've updated my channel art and my profile icon, so I even added my own little watermark right there. if you like it, please let me know. If you want me to change things like how I've done in this video, I can continue doing that. If you don't like it, let me know. I can go back to doing my old bit style videos with a whole bunch of little effects and stuff. And in the comments below, tell me what you like, what you don't like, as far as why I've been inactive for a couple months. I moved to a new place. Awesome. And my recorder kind of took a dump, so meh. I've been sticking around with a few other programs, trying to get those running, and I found a couple that worked. Some were slower than others, but I got things working now, so more videos for me! Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the battlefield, Guardians.